Hello and welcome to another video tutorial on data analysis. Today let's talk about more of formula in Excel. Some of the cool formula used by most data folks, okay? First let's start with the length, okay? The length function in Excel is a simple yet powerful tool that is used to count the number of characters in a text string, including space and characters. So now let's talk about len function. Len function. So one thing we need to know is that len function returns the number of characters in a text string. Okay, so now let's demonstrate an example of it. So now I have a product called Fanta. Okay, now what len function will do, it will what? The number of the character of this word. Okay, so now let's do that. So I'm going to use my is equals to, that's the first, then type my len. Okay, then click on it. Then I need to select the cell, which is what? D4. Click, and then I need to close the brackets, all. So all I need to do now is to execute it, and it shows me the length of the character of that word called Fanta. So enter, so we have 5. So in summary, what len does is that it returns the number of any character depending on what we specify on, okay? What is sum if? Now, this function is used to get the sum of the value in a range that meets a particular condition, okay? So, as you can see from my interface, I'm going to start with my sheet 1, which talks about sum if. Now, let's get down to it. So now, I have in my column ID, I have name, I have mark, and I have grade. So now let's get the sum of whose name ends with the character MI. Okay? And in my name, you can see that we have Temi, we have Semi, we have Wami, and so on and so forth. So the assignment now is to get the sum of whose name ends with the character MI. So now let's get down to it. So to do that, let's start. So in Excel, to start any formula, you have to use your equals to. So is equals to sum if. Okay, so this is it. You double click on it. Now in bracket is already there. Now our B2, okay, that's our range, column B9. Okay, that's the range for the name. Then you give it a comma. Then you give it a double quotes. Okay, now we can put our criteria in there. So our criteria is first give it an asterisk, and now you give it MI as the criteria. Then you close the double quotes. Okay, now you give it a comma and you open another C2, okay, and a column and C9, okay, so which means our B2 to B9 is the range for the name, and our MI is the criteria for the character. So our C2 to C9 is the range for the mark. Okay, now you close the brackets, and remember, like I said, the assignment is to get the sum of whose name ends with the character MI. Okay, so now we have the syntax and the argument inserted into it. So now let's execute it. Perfect. So we have 90. Okay, let's take a look at it. We are talking about MI, so we have MI, the character that ends with MI, I think we have 3. We have Temi, we have Semi, and we have Wami. Okay, that's great. So which means 30 plus 39 plus 21 give us 90. That's correct. So this is how sum if works, okay? The replace function in Excel is used to replace part of a string text with another text string based on specified starting points and lengths. Okay, let's talk about replace. Now, what the replace function does is that it replaces test string with another test string. Okay, let's demonstrate one of the example. Let me start with Germany, okay, and then is equals to replace, okay. Now the first thing is I need to select the cell of the original word, okay, which is what? E11. That is the cell, so I give it a comma, okay. Now the next stage now is to select the starting point of what I want to replace, and the starting point is from I'm going to start from, we have jam meaning, right? So I'm going to start from the M, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start from 4, which is the M, so I'm going to put 4 and hit comma. Now the next stage is the number of character I want to replace. So I'm replacing 1, 2, 3, 4. So which is M-A-N-Y. So I'm replacing 4 character. So I'm going to put 4. Okay, give it a comma. Now the next stage now is the new text I want to use to replace the M-A-N-Y, which is 4 character. So I'm going to put more, create a double quote, then give it more, then close the double quotes and close the brackets. That's all. Do you see that? So this is what replace does, okay? We use replace to do what? To replace a test string with another test string, okay? So what we have was Germany. Now we replace the M-A-N-Y using our replace function, and we give it jam more. Okay, so replace is a very fantastic tool you can use to replace string with another string. Okay, so that's how replace work. Let's talk about count if. This function counts the number of cells in a range that meet a particular condition. Okay, so now we have ID as our column, we have 2, 3, 4, we have name, CBAA, we have mark, 19, 24, and so on. We have grade, CB, and so on. So now we want to count the value of the mark that is greater than 20. Okay, so now let's do that. Is equals to count if, okay, and C2 column C9, okay, we give it a comma and we give it a double quote and greater than 20. Then we close the double quotes and we close the bracket. Now remember, our assignment is to count the value of the mark that is greater than 20. So using our count if, we've already specified the range we are working on, which is mark, and the condition, which is greater than 20. So now let's execute it. Now we have 5. Okay, we have 5, which means we have 5 mark that is greater than 20. Okay, we have 25, number 1, we have 24, okay, number 2, and number 3, we have 25 again, we have 24, and we have 21. So what this does is that it counts the value that is greater pending on the condition given. So the condition is count the mark that is greater than 20. So we use count if to do what? To count the function of a cell in a range. And the range we have here is C2, okay, which is the mark. So that is it. The substitute function in Excel is used to replace occurrence of specified text string within another text string, unlike the replace function, which is based on position and length of the text. The substitute function works based on matching text pattern. Okay, let's talk about the substitute function. Okay, the substitute function in Excel is used to replace occurrence of specified text string within another text string. Okay, unlike replace function, which is based on position and length, but this is text for text. Okay, so right now let's get to the example. Now I have what we call region here. That's my D2, and I have northeast. Okay, so now I want to replace the east with south. So now let's get to it. So I'm going to use my equals to, substitute is already there. And first, remember you have to select your cell, which is what? D2. That's number 1. Then you give it a comma. Then the next step now is to type the word you want to replace, which is the existing one. So I'm going to give it a quote. I'm replacing east. Okay? Then give it a comma. Now, the new word you want to use to replace the east, that is the next option. So I'm going to put a double quote again, then give it south. Then close the double quote and close the bracket. So what this means is I'm substituting from which cell, which is what? D2, which is at region, okay, is a table, so that's why you're seeing it at region, okay? So now, what exactly do I want to substitute? So I'm substituting my east, which is EAST, in double quote. I have it here, then give it a comma. Now the next stage is, what is that new word you want to use to replace the east? Now you have it here, which is south, in double quote. So now let's execute it. Do you see that? So all I have here is what? North, south, north, south, north, south, north, south. So in summary, like I said, what substitute function does is used to replace occurrence of a specified text string within another text string. Okay, so this is just a fantastic example over here. So this is how it works. Let's talk about if function. Now, it is one of the most popular and most used functions in Excel. It allows users to test logical conditions and comparison between values, and it returns value if a condition is true and another value is false. Okay. Right now, I have my details, my ID, my name, and my mark. Let's get down to it. Now, is equals to if, in bracket, C2 is greater than equals to 25. Now we give it a comma, we open a double quote. Now we give it what? Pass. And we close the double quote and we give it a comma. Else, what should happen? It should be fail. Then we close the double quote and the bracket. So now, what this means, we are writing a condition for our if function that what we have in our column called mark, any number that is greater than 25 should be given pass, below should be given fail. Okay, now let's execute it. Okay, we have that here. Now let's bring it down. Okay, let's cross-check and see if this really applies to it, because any number above 25 should be pass, else should be fail. Now we have 28 pass, 23 is 25, that's the condition, that's fail. 32 is above 25, that's pass. 29, that's pass. So this is it. So what if condition does, like I said, what it does is that it allows user to test logical condition and comparison, and that's exactly what we did. Okay, we compare C5 greater than equals to 25 or else make it fail. Okay, so it's used mostly in getting a logical calculation of values that you have. So this is how it works. The now function in Excel is used to return the current date and time. This function is dynamic and updates automatically whenever the worksheet is recalculated or opened. It's particularly useful for tracking the exact time an action was performed or creating timestamp record. Okay, now let's talk about the now function in Excel. So we use that to return the current date and time, okay? And basically, it's particularly useful for tracking the exact time an action was performed or for creating timestamp records, okay? So this is very straightforward. So we just use is equals to, now is a function, okay? So that's it. Then you close the bracket and you execute. Perfect. So what this does, like I said, it returns the current date and times. This is a fantastic tool you can use to get exact time of an action, okay? This is it. The today function in Excel is used to return the current date. It automatically updates whenever the worksheet is recalculated or opened. Today function in Excel is used to return current dates, okay? Just like we have in now function, which return date and time. But what today function does, it returns just the current date. So it automatically updates whenever the worksheet is recalculated or open. So this is also straightforward. So let's start. So equals to today, this is it, is a function, and you close the bracket, then you execute it. Okay, expand it. Now you can see. So today 6/19/2024. So these tools, today's function and now function, are very powerful. You can use them in all kind of record, okay? You can use them to create timestamp record, okay? So that's it. Let's talk about average ifs, okay? Average IFS, okay? Average ifs, okay? Now, this function finds the average, like I said, is an arithmetic mean of cell in a range that meets multiple conditions. So this meets multiple conditions, okay? As usual, we have my columns of ID, names, mark, and grade. And then below it, we have our name, which is AA, and our grade, which is B. So the task is to get the result of what? Now, let's get the question. Now, we are to find the average of mark, okay, whose name is AA and grade with B. We are going to work on the name of AA and the grade of B. Okay, so this function, like I said, it works with a range of multiple conditions. Now we have two conditions. The first condition is to find the name AA and the mark with B. Okay, so now let's do it. So we come over here. Now is equals to average ifs. Okay, this is it. And what else? So we C2 in column and C9, okay, that's our range for the name. And then what else again? Our B2 in column and our B9, okay, we give it a comma, and what is the criteria is C10, okay, that's C10, okay, and we give it a comma, okay. Now the next range is our D2 in column and our D9, okay, which is the range for our grade. And what is the criteria? The criteria is our C11, okay, and we close the bracket. So in summary, what this does, it extracts, okay, the mark whose name is AA and the grade is B and give us the results. Okay, now let's execute it. Perfect. So we have 24. Now let's look at it. AA, okay, we have this, okay, and we have another AA, okay, which is this, 24. So the average, perfect. So this is how it works. The run between function in Excel generate a random integer between the specified lower and upper bounds. Okay, let's talk about run between function in Excel. So this generates random integer between the specified lower and upper bounds. So what this means is that you can use this to generate list of number, random list of number. Okay, so now let's assume we have is equals to round between. Okay, now the question now is, from which number to which number do you want to create a random list of? Okay, like we have the lower number and the higher number. So we call it the bottom bound and the top bound. Okay, so for example, I'm starting from 1 to 50. So I want the run between to give me a random number between 1 to 50. Okay, so now execute it. What do you see? We have 25. Okay, let's try it again and see. Round between, okay, the same number. Let's choose from 1 to 50 again and close the bracket. What do you see? We have 38, 36. So what this does, like I said, it creates like a prediction of a number. Okay, it generates a random integer, not decimal, random integer between the specified lower and upper bounds. And I said your lower and upper bound means your bottom and top number, meaning from the lowest to the highest. So that is what it does. Okay, it's a very useful tool you can use, okay, to automate a cell or to build a random number. The run array function in Excel is used to generate an array of random list of number, and this function is useful for creating random data sets, performing simulations, and testing formulas. Run array function in Excel is used to build a random list of number. Okay, this is different. A random list of number. Run array function is very powerful. Okay, you can use it in creating a random data set, performing simulation and testing formula. Okay, now let's do this. So is equals to round. Okay, this is it. Round array. Then the next thing is the number of row you want. Okay, I want like 20. Okay, the number of column, I want like 5. Okay, then the minimum number you want to build the list for. Okay, I want from 1 to the maximum, I want 100. And the next stage is, do you want an integer or decimal? So I want an integer, so that's true. Then you close the bracket. Then let's execute it. That's it. This is how it works. So you can see that it builds a random list of number from 1 to 100. Okay, so this is how powerful it works. Okay, so run array function, like I said, it generates random list of number. Okay, so and these numbers are useful for creating random data sets. So this is cool. Thank you. Please kindly subscribe, like, and share for more videos. Thank you.